Good morning, Grace Church family. Welcome to another devotional. Happy Friday. So I lied in my last video. There was another spot at my house that I haven't filmed yet, which is outside, but I couldn't film there last week because I kid you not, I came out here, got everything set up, and it literally started to rain, so I had to go back inside. But it's gorgeous out today, so I'm filming out here now. So we got a new background. I want to talk to you about something that I read in my devotionals yesterday. I'm reading in John right now, which is my favorite gospel, and I'm in chapter 11, and so this is the chapter where Jesus brings Lazarus back to life, but God kind of brought something new to mind. I'm sure you've had this happen to you before where it's like you've read this passage 100 times, but every time God reveals something new to you, which is always super cool because it's like reading a new book every time. So I'm going to start at verse 17. So I'm in John chapter 11 starting at 17. Now, when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary remained seated in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world." So the verse that really stuck out to me and that I want to focus on is verse 21. So I'll just read that again. It says, Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had have been here, my brother would not have died." And I wrote beside that verse, there was a bug. I wrote beside that verse, how often do we do this? And for me, it's a lot. Tell the God who created the universe, if you had of blank, who do we think we are? I do this all the time. That's what I wrote. How often have we gone to God and said, if you had of blank, if this had have happened, if, all these ifs. My Sunday school teacher, when I was in high school, said that what ifs are from the devil because we can't change the past. There's no going back. So why do we sit and contemplate about what could have happened when we should really just be moving forward? And then the other thing is that, do we not believe that God is sovereign and has a perfect plan for us, and anything that has happened is exactly what he wanted to happen and exactly what was laid out for the plan in our life? And yet we go to him and we say, if only this, if only COVID had have ended back whenever, if only I could still have my graduation, if only I had have dated this person, if only I had have gotten this job, if only I had have been in this place at this time, all these what ifs. And we talk to God as if he got something wrong. It's like Martha here is like, Jesus, if you had have been here, you still would have been alive. And Jesus is like, yeah, I'm fully aware of that. The plan was for him to die, which in our human brain is like, why would you allow this to happen? But it was to glorify him, because earlier in this chapter, in verse 4, it says, "It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." And he's talking about Lazarus's death here. So in our human brain, in Martha's brain, it was probably like, well, why let him die in the first place? If you had to just come on time, you could have just healed him. That would have been like a pretty awesome miracle as well. So why not just do that? But Jesus fully is aware of the plan, and he allowed Lazarus to die for a reason, to bring glory to him and to his Father. And so there was purpose behind it. And so it really just challenged me on how often I go to God as if he got something wrong, and I say, if you had done this, if you had done this. And he's probably sitting there just shaking his head being like, yeah, and I'm fully aware that if I had done this, things would have ended up differently, but I didn't want them to end up differently. I wanted things to happen the exact way that they're happening right now. And I just think it's hilarious in scripture and in our own lives when we think that we're smarter than God, because it's the stupidest thing ever. And yet I do it all the time. I'm probably going to do it today. Because, like I said, this is the God who created the universe. This is the God who brought Jesus down to the earth, who brought him back from the dead. He's the God who brought Lazarus back from the dead, like all of these amazing things. And we're going to him as if we know what the heck we're talking about, as if we have a better plan for our lives. But it's just our human brain not understanding things. And so that was just a verse that really just popped out of me, and I don't think I'd ever thought of it like that before. So I hope that you're challenged to not say God if at any point, and that we would just trust that he knows what he's doing, especially during this time right now, because I don't know what the heck is going on. And most days I just want this to be all over and done with, but he knows what he's doing, and for some reason COVID is continuing right now, and we don't know why, but he does. He's not blind. He's not just blindly picking things and moving pieces on a board. He has a plan, and he's putting things into place for that exact plan, and that includes the small minor details of your life that sometimes you think are unimportant. He knows, and he has the perfect plan. So I just pray that you would truly believe that today and in the coming days and months and years as well. So thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you later.